desert doesn't forgive mistakes. It swallows people whole, and sometimes it doesn't give them back. Border Patrol agents work in one of the most dangerous environments on Earth. Miles from backup, surrounded by darkness, never knowing what's waiting on the other side of the next ridge. Tonight I'm sharing 5 real Border Patrol cases that were investigated and never explained. These aren't rumors. These aren't campfire tales. These are real incidents, documented, investigated, and still unsolved. Some of them involve smugglers. Some involve something else entirely. And none of these agents patrol that stretch of desert anymore. He saw something moving across the desert floor. It wasn't walking like a person. This story was shared by a former Border Patrol agent named Marcus. He worked the Arizona sector for 8 years before transferring out. September 2019. A routine night patrol along a remote stretch near the Sonoran Desert. Marcus was alone in his vehicle, monitoring a known crossing area. Around 2 a.m., his thermal scanner picked up movement, about 400 yards out. He expected the usual. A group of migrants, maybe a smuggler. He radioed his position and started driving toward the signal. But as he got closer, something felt wrong. The figure on the thermal wasn't moving like a person. It was low to the ground, moving fast, too fast. Marcus stopped his vehicle and grabbed his spotlight. He swept the beam across the desert. Nothing. He checked the thermal again. The figure was still there. Closer now, maybe 200 yards. He stepped out of the vehicle, drew his weapon, called out. Silence. Then he heard it. A sound he described as clicking, like bones clicking together, coming from somewhere in the darkness ahead. Marcus got back in his truck. He didn't run. Agents don't run. But he drove back to the station faster than protocol allowed. When he reviewed the thermal footage later, the figure was visible for about 90 seconds, moving in a pattern that didn't match any known animal. His supervisor told him it was probably a coyote, the animal kind, but Marcus had seen coyotes 1,000 times. He told me, "Coyotes don't move like that, and they don't make that sound." He transferred to a desk position 6 months later. He never went back to night patrol. The vehicle was supposed to have 3 people inside. They found 2 bodies. The third person was never found. This incident was documented in 2017 near the Texas-Mexico border. The agent who discovered the scene shared the details anonymously. It was early morning. A routine patrol found an SUV abandoned about a mile from a known smuggling route. Engine off, doors open, no one in sight. The agent called it in and approached. Inside he found 2 bodies, male, both deceased. Cause of death appeared to be dehydration and heat exposure, common in the desert. But there were 3 sets of belongings in the vehicle, 3 bags, 3 water bottles, 3 phones, 2 bodies, 3 people. The agent searched the surrounding area. Nothing. No tracks leading away from the vehicle. No signs that a third person had walked off into the desert. Forensics confirmed 3 distinct sets of fingerprints inside the vehicle. Cell phone records showed 3 devices had been active until approximately 4 a.m. the previous night. Then all 3 went dark at the same time. The third person, whoever they were, was never identified, never found. No body, no remains, no trace. The official report lists the case as incomplete recovery. But the agent who found them told me something that wasn't in the report. The 2 bodies were positioned facing the same direction, toward the back seat, like they were looking at something or someone. He said, Whatever happened in that vehicle, it happened fast, and the third person didn't walk away. The case remains open. The distress call came in at 3:33 a.m., but there was no one in that sector, and the call sign belonged to an agent who had been dead for 6 years. This story was shared with me by a dispatcher who worked the night shift in the New Mexico sector. February 2020. A quiet night. Then, just after 3:30 a.m., a distress call came through. The voice was faint, static, but the words were clear. Requesting immediate assistance. Coordinates follow. The dispatcher logged the call and started to relay the coordinates to the nearest unit. Then she noticed the call sign. It belonged to Agent Daniel Vega. Badge number 4471. Agent Vega had died in 2014, line of duty, shot during a confrontation with smugglers near the same sector. The dispatcher froze. She checked the system. The call sign was authentic. The frequency was correct. But Daniel Vega had been dead for 6 years. She sent a unit to the coordinates anyway. They found nothing. No people, no vehicles, no signs of activity, just empty desert. The recording was reviewed by technical staff. The voice was too degraded to analyze. The transmission source couldn't be identified. Some agents said it was a glitch, old equipment picking up old signals, but the dispatcher told me something that still bothers her. The coordinates in the distress call? They were less than 200 yards from where Agent Vega was killed in 2014. She said, "I don't believe in ghosts, but I know what I heard. Someone was calling for help, and they used a dead man's name to do it." The incident was logged as equipment malfunction. No further investigation was conducted. The footprints started at the border fence. They went north for about a mile, then they just stopped. This incident occurred in 2021 in the California desert sector. The agent who investigated it shared the details reluctantly. A morning patrol discovered fresh tracks near a section of border wall. Standard procedure: follow the tracks, locate the crossers, process them accordingly. The tracks showed a single individual, adult male, based on the shoe size and stride. Moving north at a steady pace, the agent followed the trail for about a mile. Easy tracking, soft sand, clear prints. Then the footprints stopped. Not faded, not obscured, just ended. In the middle of open desert, no vehicle tracks, no sign of pickup, no disturbance in the sand that would indicate the person stopped, turned, or changed direction. The tracks simply stopped, as if the person had been lifted straight up. The agent called for backup. They brought dogs. The dogs followed the scent to the same point where the tracks ended. Then the dogs refused to go further. They searched the area for hours. Drones, ground teams, nothing, no body, no clothing, no trace of whoever made those tracks. The official report classified it as subject not located. But the agent told me something else. At the point where the tracks ended, the sand was disturbed in a small circle, about 3 feet in diameter, like something had pressed down from above. He said, "I've tracked hundreds of people through that desert. I've never seen tracks just stop, and I've never seen dogs react like that." He requested reassignment the following month. They found a house in the middle of the desert, but according to every map, every record, every database, that house didn't exist. This is the final story tonight. It was shared by an agent who now works in a completely different field. He asked that I not use his real name. March 2022. A patrol unit was tracking a group of suspected smugglers through a remote area of the Arizona desert. The trail led them about 15 miles off any maintained road. That's when they saw it. A small house, single story, adobe construction, old but intact. The agents approached carefully. No vehicles outside, no lights, no signs of recent activity, but inside the house was furnished. Bed, table, chairs, kitchen supplies, like someone had been living there. And on the table they found photographs, dozens of photographs, all of them showing people crossing the desert. Men, women, children, different groups, different years. The photographs were dated. The oldest was from 1987. The newest was from just 2 weeks earlier. Different groups, different years, different cameras. Someone had been documenting crossings from that location for over 30 years. The agents called for backup and ran the location through their systems. Nothing. No record of any structure at those coordinates. No permits. No property records. No previous reports. According to every database, that house didn't exist. They secured the scene and waited for investigators, but when the investigation team arrived 3 hours later, the house was empty. Not abandoned. Empty. The furniture was gone. The photographs were gone. Even the dust patterns on the floor had been disturbed. In 3 hours, someone had completely cleared the house, in broad daylight, in the middle of the desert, without any of the agents seeing a single vehicle come or go. The agent told me, "I was there, I touched the walls, I saw those photographs, that house was real." He paused. But whoever was using it, they knew we were coming, and they didn't want to be found. The location was flagged in the system. Agents were sent back to investigate multiple times over the following months. They never found the house again, just empty desert, like it was never there. Heat tunnel was supposed to end after 200 meters. According to every scan, every map, every survey, it ended. But when they walked it, it just kept going. This incident occurred in 2020 near the California-Mexico border. The agent who shared it requested complete anonymity. Border Patrol had discovered a tunnel entrance in an abandoned warehouse. Standard procedure: map it, clear it, seal it. The initial ground-penetrating radar showed a tunnel approximately 200 meters long, ending in a small chamber. Typical smuggling tunnel. A 3-man team entered. The agent who told me this story was on point. They moved slowly, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Radio check every 50 meters. At 200 meters, they should have hit the end wall. They didn't. The tunnel kept going. Same width, same construction. But it continued into darkness beyond their lights. The agent radioed the surface, told them the tunnel extended past the survey endpoint. Surface team checked the radar again. According to their equipment, the team was standing at the end of the tunnel. There was nothing beyond them, but the agent was looking at another 50 meters of tunnel. Minimum. They kept walking. 250 meters. 300. The tunnel showed no signs of ending. At 350 meters, the agent in the rear said he heard something behind them. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from the direction they'd entered. They stopped. Listened. The footsteps stopped too. The team leader made the call. They turned around and headed back. The return trip should have been 350 meters. It took them less than 5 minutes to reach the entrance. When they checked their equipment later, their GPS trackers showed they had only traveled 180 meters total, in either direction. The tunnel was sealed the next day. Concrete, rebar, permanent. But the agent told me something that keeps him awake at night. When they were leaving, he looked back one last time. Someone was standing at the edge of their flashlight range, just standing there, in a tunnel that was supposed to be empty. He didn't tell his team. He didn't put it in the report. He didn't run. He just walked faster. The tunnel location was classified. No further investigation was authorized. Someone was waving at them from across the border, but there was nothing on that side. No town, no road, no reason for anyone to be there. This is the final story tonight. It happened in 2023 in a remote stretch of the New Mexico desert. 2 agents were on night patrol. Routine. Quiet. They'd worked this sector for years without incident. Around 3 a.m., one of them noticed something through his night vision scope. A figure, standing about 400 yards away, on the Mexican side of the border. The figure was waving, slow, deliberate, like someone trying to get their attention. The agents watched for a moment. People on the Mexican side weren't unusual, but this location was in the middle of nowhere. The nearest town was 30 miles south, no roads, no structures, nothing. Why would someone be standing there at 3 a.m.? The agent radioed it in. Dispatch confirmed there were no reports of activity in that area. Mexican authorities had no operations nearby. They kept watching. The figure kept waving. Same motion, same speed, for almost 10 minutes. Then it stopped. The figure lowered its arm and started walking toward the border. The agents prepared for a crossing, standard procedure. But the figure stopped about 50 yards from the fence, just stood there. Through the night vision, the agents couldn't make out any features. No face, no clothing details, just a human silhouette, standing, watching. One of the agents turned on his spotlight and aimed it across the border. The beam hit empty desert. Nothing, no figure, no tracks, nothing. He turned off the spotlight and looked through the night vision again. The figure was still there, same spot, now with its arm raised again, waving. The agents called for backup. By the time additional units arrived 20 minutes later, the figure was gone. They searched the area at first light. The sand on the Mexican side showed no footprints, no disturbance, no evidence that anyone had been standing there. The senior agent filed a report. Unidentified visual anomaly. Nothing more. But his partner told me what he really saw through that scope. The figure wasn't just waving. It was waving specifically at him, following his position when he moved, like it knew exactly where he was. He said, "I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen people try to cross in every way you can imagine, but I've never seen anything like that." He paused. Whatever that was, it wasn't trying to cross. It was trying to get us to come to it. He requested reassignment the following week. He doesn't work night shifts anymore.